In this video we'll show you how we can add contours and patterns to a DXF drawing that we've previously imported so that we can pass that information through to the machining modules. So this is a milling example. So what we've done here previously is we've imported the DXF file. So it's got a lot of extra information on there that we don't need for machining, things like the drawing border and so on. So if we just concentrate on the shape that we want, what we may need to do here is to create a contour for the outside shape and then pick up the circles as hold positions for drilling. Often when you import a DXF file, it contains a lot of duplicated information. So the first thing to do is to get rid of any duplicates, and to do that we use the top menu here. We go to Edit and then choose the option Delete Duplicates. So as you can see there, it's found 22 duplicated lines, arcs or circles, and they've been removed from the drawing. A duplicated line can occur when the drawing is created. For instance, if two lines are drawn across this segment here, it would be difficult to see that you've drawn two lines, but there would be two there and they would interfere with the contour creation process. So it's best to get rid of all the duplicates before we start doing anything else. So what we need to do is we need to decide where we want our 0 to be for machining. Often on a DXF file the XY0 position is down in the bottom left hand corner, which may or may not be where you want it. So let's show you how we can set our datum relative to the part. To do anything with the drawing with regard to adding machining information to it for contouring and for drilling holes as a pattern, we need to click this icon here. So to set the datum point, we use the datum symbol here, and then we can set the NC datum where we want. For instance, we might want it to be in the center there. It could be, of course, that we want the datum to be the bottom right hand corner extent of those two lines there. In that case we'd need to create a point where we can attach the datum to. So to do that, before I set the datum, I would need to use the intersect command here, and the option I want is to create a move point. So then I may have the auto function switched on, so I'll switch that off, and I simply click on this line and that line, and then it creates a point item there which I can lock the datum onto. So if I do that again, go back into NC mode, set datum, it's currently set to the center, and I want to lock it on to that point I've just created. So that's the datum point set, and now we can create the contours. So it's important to set the datum before you create the contours. So to create a contour, I use the second button down from the options toolbar here on the left hand side, and the help at the bottom says left click to indicate the start point, i.e. the first line or arc of this contour or profile. So as I move the cursor onto any geometry, it picks up the line under the cursor. So if you notice, the cursor is towards the right hand end of that line, and the start point for this contour will be where we see the blue box, and the direction coming from that is to the left. If I move the cursor towards the left hand part of that line, you can see that the direction changes. Normally it's best to create contours in the clockwise direction regardless of how you're going to machine them, because you can change your mind later on as to the direction. So we want to start at a sensible position here. Perhaps you wouldn't want to start machining inside at an inside corner like that, so you need to decide where you want to start machining. So I click that, and then I get a dialog box to complete. The line thickness is merely a visual thing, so you can set it to a thicker value so that you can see the contour as it's created on the screen. The rest of the options here, you can leave them as the defaults, and the only thing that we're really interested in is the NC data at the bottom. The system will automatically name the contours starting at con 0, con 1, con 2 and so on, but it's just a name. It could quite easily be Bill or Fred or Jim. The Z surface is normally the top of the job, so in this case we'll have that set to 0, and the depth is measured from there. So if we want a contour which is 15 mil deep, we just enter 15 and we click OK. So what the system will do is it will automatically trace around the shape and find the next contiguous element to create the contour. A contour is like a polyline, which is a series of linked line and arc segments. Now when we previously deleted the duplicates, then that made this process that much easier because it could only find one line attached to the last one. So that little error that's not an error, that message there just says that the contour has been created. Okay, and it's drawn it in a nice thick line so we can see it. The thickness of the line will have no bearing at all on the actual machining sizes. So what we might want to do now is create further contours to machine the holes, for instance. We might need to machine them with a milling cutter as opposed to a drill. So let's just go through that routine and show you how this works on a circle. So I pick up a circle and it says you've selected a circle, and it asks me to set the start position. The angles, 0 is 3 o'clock position, and so on. The direction, clockwise or counterclockwise, and again we have this dialog box to set the depth for this contour, so we might want this to be a different depth, for instance. Okay, so that's the next contour that's been created, and we can go around and we can do that for the other contours if we needed to. The next thing I'll show you is how we can create a pattern for drilling. So a pattern is a series of XY locations that you can use with a drilling tool. So to create a pattern, I'll just zoom in so I can see it a little bit clearer. So all we do is we click on the center of the circle. Now in this instance here, you'll notice there's quite a lot of extraneous information there, so I need to zoom in to make sure that I'm picking up the center of that circle. The system will automatically lock on to the center of the circle because my snap mode here is set to near. So that sets up the first position, and again the system names this element. I can set the work surface or the top of the job, and I can set the depth. So if I want to take those all the way through, I might want to go to say 20. So that's created the first point in the pattern. The help at the bottom says indicate the next point in the pattern plus the shift key if this is the last point in the pattern. So a pattern can contain a series of holes, and obviously you need to tell the system when you've reached the last one. So I click the next one, the next one, the next one, and if this is the last one, I hold down the shift key and click, and then that tells me that that pattern has been created. So that is adding contouring and pattern information onto an existing DXF file. In other videos we'll show you how we can take that through into machining and machine those features.